Just not good enough. It's as simple as that. Or is it? Are the Oilers just not good enough? To speak to that, here's Ryan Rishaug. Ryan, after getting crushed by the Kings for the second straight game, a defeated sounding Chris Knobloch said, we can play better. Nice words. But have the first two games of this series proven the Oilers just aren't good enough to survive against the LA Kings?
Well, considering the number of goals that they've given up and the way this series looks on paper, I think that's a fair statement to make, Gino. Do I believe that's the truth? No. I believe this Oilers team absolutely can compete with this LA Kings team. They just got to get out of their own way. Like, in a lot of ways here, the Oilers are making all kinds of mistakes that you would consider self-inflicted wounds. And then on top of that, it hasn't even been close on the special teams battle. A complete 180 from the series last year where the Oilers were perfect on the penalty kill and dominant on the power play. Well, guess what? The LA Kings, 100% on the penalty kill and 50% on the power play. They are decimating the Oilers on special teams. They're not giving up the same type of bad mistakes that the Oilers are. It's very one-sided so far, Gino. So fair comment, but this Oilers team is still a good team and they can still give this team a run. They're just playing like garbage.
Ryan, I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm saying it doesn't look they're good enough. Like, I get the fact the special teams numbers have been turned on their head. I get that. That came out of nowhere. What didn't come out of nowhere, though, is the Kings were the second best defensive team in the entire NHL during the regular season, and the Oilers weren't even top 10 in offense. So should we be surprised that this Oil team can't score on this Kings team, which has proven all year long that they don't give up goals against anybody?
Yeah, fair. I think what a lot of people, myself included, somewhat expected or wondered about was, yes, the Kings are good at even strength, and they have been the last few years where the Oilers have gone in against them. They were probably the better defensive team, the Kings. I think everybody figured that power play would just be overwhelming. That you put those guys back together, and that why wouldn't it be fantastic again in the postseason? But the issue with the power play, Gino, they have been average all year by their standards. And then towards the tail end of the year, McDavid and Draisaitl both took turns not being in the lineup. So the power play was not assembled for the last month of the season. And then all of a sudden they come together in the playoffs and they're disjointed. It's messy out there. It's not sharp. They're not snapping it around. And it's not swinging games for them. So, I mean, your point about the Kings' prowess defensively is well made, but I think a lot of people just figured that Oilers power play would come to life and help propel them through it. They're also making, I mean, the number of five-star turnovers. I mean, look at Victor Arvidsson in that last game. 2 turnovers in 10 seconds. I mean, you just can't have that. Guys dramatically out of position. They're not defending nearly well enough, Gino, and making all kinds of mistakes, and then their penalty kill has just been atrocious. Credit the Kings, but it's been a big swing on special teams, and the Kings are doing a good job defending at evens.
Another part where I really wasn't surprised at all, Schauger, and you and I have debated this, is it net? I mean, you get Kemper up here, you get Skinner down here all season long. Why is it going to be any different in the playoffs?
This is humble pie. If you're wondering, this is humble pie. Humble pie.
I get that, Schauger, but my point is, like, it's not like I pull this out of the air. The numbers just told us that. The numbers told us Skinner was nowhere near as good as Kemper. And then the numbers told us that Skinner wasn't even as good as Pickard. We debated whether Skinner or Pickard should start last night. Skinner gets smoked again. 11 goals to the first 2 games. He's now dead last in the playoffs in goals saved above expected. Is the debate now finally over? Does Skinner need to step aside and Pickard take over and do whatever he can to salvage this for the Oil?
That was carrot cake. That was good. Carrot humble pie. I'm going to give you the win here, Gino, because we went at it yesterday. You have been adamant about this. So I will eat that humble pie and I will give you the win for the purposes of our audience. But, I'm just going to say but here. Yes, okay. I believe it's time for Calvin Pickard. But Gino, Calvin Pickard could have started that last game. Wouldn't have made a difference. It wouldn't have made a difference. The quality of opportunities that the LA Kings are getting, you know, they're 5-star. Like, their best players walking right down Main Street, mano a mano, and you know, making some nice shots. Now, Stuart Skinner needs to win some of those mano a mano battles. He does. Fair or not, staring down the opposition's best players, you got to make some of those saves, and he hasn't. He hasn't made the clutch saves, the critical saves that allow, the Oilers to stay closer. And so for that reason, I think there will be a change. But it wouldn't have mattered last game, because for you or for Oiler fans who feel like Calvin Pickard is going to be the answer, that must have felt a little sobering, Gino, when they put Calvin Pickard in. And what's the first thing that happened? Guy walked right down the left side, right down Main Street, and beat him clean. Absolutely clean. Yeah. So, yes, it's time for a change. I still think it was the right decision to stay with Skinner. We'll see, Gino. I will eat that entire thing during our YouTube hit after Game 3 if Calvin Pickard is spectacular and a difference maker and the Oilers are 2-1 in the series because Calvin Pickard did something that Stuart Skinner couldn't.
Just to be clear, I'm not suggesting for any second that Calvin Pickard is the answer or the savior of this organization. What I am saying is what we saw from Skinner just wasn't good enough that he should have been given another opportunity. Now, I want to be fair to the LA Kings now, because Kings fans may be listening to this and saying, hey, instead of just talking about how disappointing the Oilers have been, how about a little credit on our side? How about a little credit to the Kings? Goaltending is obviously not close. We knew the Kings were going to be better than the Oilers as soon as Ekholm went down. But did you see this coming from the special teams battle from the Kings? And then, you know what? I want to push it one step further. Did you see this? Is this a team that's now coming of age at this point?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the fact that they are is certainly helping their special teams. So you can kind of tie the two of these things together. But I was thinking about this after the game, Gino. So I grew up with brothers. I have a younger brother, Rob, a couple years younger than me. And when we were younger, I could get the better of Rob. I wasn't a terrible big brother, but I wasn't afraid to make sure he knew who the alpha was between the two of us. And then I think about Quinton Byfield, who has sort of come of age here in the NHL over the last couple of seasons. You think about what he was a couple years ago in these series, and he was decent. He produced a little bit. Then you look at what he's doing right now. I remember there was a time, Gino, I was maybe 14, maybe 15. My younger brother was 13, and I went to let him know who was boss. And all of a sudden, he was a little more stern. There was a little more pushback, a little more muscle mass there. And I remember going, oh boy, I think that's what the Oilers are experiencing with Quinton Byfield here. He is under their skin. Physically, he's drawing penalties. They're agitated. They're going at him. He's just going about his business. Is he doing a little diving here and there? Is he playing the referees? Is he playing the game? Of course he is. He's been competitive and excellent. And so this player, we wondered coming into this series, is Quinton Byfield ready to check in a different way this year? And he has. He's come of age. He's now a big boy, playing with the big boys, and he's making a big difference, Gino. And I think in a couple of ways, the LA Kings as a group have been that little brother the last few years, and anyone that's an older brother that has a younger brother knows eventually when they get mad enough, you better look out. And that's some of what's happening with some of the Kings here.
Yeah, listen, one of the phrases I've heard from you over and over again, and rightfully so, is you never want to write off a team that's got the two best players in the world in McDavid and Draisaitl,
Sure.
And I get that. It didn't go well for them away from home. But now Knobloch gets last change. You have a little bit more say about who they go up against, who are defending them out there right now. How do you think Knobloch handles this, A? And B, do you think these two are ready for a breakout in game number 3?
Yeah, I think they were ready to grab game number 2. They did. Leon Draisaitl ends up getting a goal. The Oilers draw within 1. I firmly believe the Oilers were ready to grab that game back. And then Arvidsson made a horrendous mistake. And Adam Henrique took a ridiculously bad penalty on Byfield, by the way. So, yeah, I think McDavid and I think the Oilers actually felt okay about the first 20 or 30 minutes of that game. They felt they had more energy. They felt they skated better, more opportunity. So, I think... Chris Knobloch talked about it today. He's actually reasonably comfortable with where their game is at, even strength-wise. And I think McDavid and Draisaitl in both games have imposed themselves and helped make it close. They just got to get out of their own way. So, yeah, I think McDavid and Draisaitl are absolutely poised to be difference makers. Maybe he'll split them up. Maybe he'll put them on separate lines, and with last change, you can control that matchup a little better in game number 3. But they're poised and ready. They got to get out of their own way. They got to stop making the 5-star mistake, taking the dumb penalty, be more disciplined, and give those guys an opportunity to really get the engine revving.
3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. That's the point total for McDavid and Draisaitl combined through the first 2 games. The Kings, Adrian Kempe, those exact numbers. 3 goals, 4 assists, and 7 points.
Yeah.
All on his own. Schauger, I got to tell you, I'm not optimistic. Thanks for this, buddy. Enjoy the game. Hopefully, you'll be able to enjoy Game 3 more than you did Games 1 and 2.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. We'll talk.